Hey guys, how's it going? UIM Loki here with another video. This one's going to be a little bit different, not your typical Ultimate Iron Man Progress Series update, but rather a flipping video. Just something I like to do on the side. Currently I'm doing some AFK skilling on the UIM, so I thought I'd upload one of these flipping videos that I've been trying to upload for a while. I've ended up scrapping the last batch of them just because I didn't really think it would fit on the channel, but I don't know, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and upload this one and see how it's received. So what you're seeing in the background is just going to be an hour of flipping on the Grand Exchange. You can tell by the login timer where the report abuse button is that we've been logged in for 11 minutes, so you can watch that go up. And as you can see, it's going pretty quick. We've sped this up about 3 times, so. But yeah, the reason for this video is because I just wanted to share with you guys that the margins on these high value items right now are literally insane. I've never seen anything like it in all my years of playing this. I've been flipping since, I don't know, 2008 or something. Used to flip on RS2, you know, I flipped on World of Warcraft, except World of Warcraft didn't have GE limits, so you could straight up just buy like all the resources in the game and then mark them up like 10,000%. And so I just like basically gave all my friends like all the gold they ever wanted. Those are good times. But luckily RuneScape doesn't like price manipulation, and so they have GE limits in place, which I think are very good. They're sometimes annoying, but I mean, for the most part, I think their implementation is practical. So what you're seeing here is I'm just buying a lot of high value, low volume items like the Dragon Hunter crossbow, the Dragon Hunter lance. Currently, these items, on average for the past few days, I've been seeing 600, 700k, even like up to 1 million GP margins on these. It's like literally insane. The way you check the margin, you know, is you buy it for max and you sell it for the lowest price and you see what the difference is. It's called arbitrage trading in the stock market. You just scalp out the difference between the highest bid and the lowest ask price, and then what you collect is your profit. I've been doing stock trading for years too, but that's a topic for another video. So I think perhaps the reason why these items have such huge margins is because they've been crashing a lot. What you tend to see with volatile assets is that when they have very big price swings, you know, the buy-ask spread, the difference between the highest buyer and the lowest seller just gets pretty big because the item's moving a lot. And so arbitrage traders come in, like what we're doing here, and we just take a little bit of profit from the middle. So I mean, it's pretty brainless. You sort of just figure out what the items are selling for, and then you act as the middleman, and then, you know, you take your cut. It's not totally brainless. Like, there is a bit of strategy, but once you get the strategy down, it becomes a bit brainless. The important part, I suppose, is just developing a strategy. So what I like to do is just, like I mentioned, you see what the margin is, and then you take it off, like say 10 or 20k off the bottom, and then when your items buy, you sell them for 10 or 20k off the top, and then you just collect the profit in between. Sometimes the items will not sell immediately, and that could be because there are none of those items currently on the market for the prices that you're looking for, or it could be that you've been undercut or overcut depending on whether or not you're buying or selling. And since that's the case, you know, every couple minutes I'll just update the prices. If the items aren't selling, I'll just take less of a profit. And sometimes, you know, I'll chalk it up to just the item having no volume and move on to the next item. Generally, as you can see, I like to do around 3 to 4 items at a time, just so that way in case one of the items isn't performing as much as I'd like it to, I can depend on the other items available. I know there's probably some of you out there saying like, bro, you got 400 mil, man. Why do you need to make money? To that, I just respond, I mean, there's items worth billions, I guess, that I'd like to get my hands on. Those are pretty cool. And there's probably, among those people, there's the more reasonable of you saying stuff like, well, if you got 400 mil and you're using a method that requires 400 mil to make money, that doesn't apply to me, and it doesn't apply to most people either, so this content is not valuable. To which I would say, yeah, you know what, you're kind of right. I mean, having 400 mil is definitely a good equitable asset to be able to manage. You know what they say, it takes money to make money, right? But I mean, I came from, the roots that I stemmed from to grow this capital was mostly just from trading low value, high bulk items, like, you know, blood runes, death runes, nature runes, you know, raw sharks, chinchampas, mahogany planks, oak planks, steel bars, cannonballs, all that kind of stuff. You know, you can easily get 1, 2, 3 mil an hour trading these low value items in high bulk. You don't necessarily have to trade the high value items, although these are more fun and profitable in the end. One of my favorite ones is Zora Scales and Revenant Ether. You basically are guaranteed a 1 to 2 GP margin, and the GE limit on those is 30k, so you're basically guaranteed 60k every 4 hours. That's where I started. You got to start somewhere, right? I didn't start with 400 mil, so I've just developed this account into an account that's able to trade the high value items, and it took time and it took effort. I find it really fun and interesting and exciting and stimulating, especially when you get those really good days. You know, you get good days, you get bad days. Generally speaking, you don't ever lose money flipping on RuneScape unless you're doing like really high speculative stuff, like holding stuff for months. I'm not really into that. Mostly I just want to get in and out as fast as possible. That's my strategy, arbitrage trading. That's what I'm good at, and that's what I do. There are certain rare occurrences where I have done speculative investing on items in RuneScape. One of the ones that comes to mind is when they decided they were going to nerf the bird nest drops from like Vorkath and I think Zora, and they nerfed the amount of bird nests you got from birdhouses. Obviously, a lower supply and a higher demand means that the item will go up. So I think it went from like 1k GP to like 4k GP over the course of like 6 months. I probably am like not recalling that correctly, but it was something along those lines. And I put a couple $100 mil into bird nests and sort of just held it and made like 400 mil or so, but ended up getting hacked later on, and so I lost all that unfortunately. But I didn't really feel like it was mine. I didn't really earn it. I just sort of just like made a guess and was right. So I mean, it definitely sucked, you know, but it wasn't like I spent 10,000 hours PVMing. So at this point in the video, about 38 minutes in, we had profited about 7 mil. We started moving on to the very low volume items like the arcane spirit shield, the sanguinesti staff. Sometimes I'll try and stretch for these items because they can sometimes have good margins, but oftentimes the amount that are traded is just too low for me. Not to say that you should never trade them or anything, but I like to just trade for an hour or so and then hop back on in 4 hours and just rinse and repeat. When I'm trading these extremely low volume items, it just sort of isn't very exciting or active at all. I'm more of an active trader. I just like to be kept active, and plus these high value items tend to drift a bit in price. If you're waiting like 10 minutes for them to buy or sell, you have no idea if you're currently the highest bidder or the lowest seller, so it just doesn't really fit my style that much. So I went ahead and compiled a list of the most profitable items according to me, not according to anyone else, but this could easily be not accurate or incorrect, but this is what I've found that works best for me. Alright, so before I show you the list, I want to give you a little bit of context. What tends to happen is that the higher price the item is, the lower the volume, and the higher the margin. If you can imagine a twisted bow, say there was 10 traded a day, the price would vary quite a bit between each of those trades because there'd be no point of stability for that item to lie on in terms of price. So obviously as a trader, I'm interested in high margins, but I'm not willing to settle for high margins if they come at the cost of low volume. Trading a low volume item often consumes a lot of time and will often just result in a wash. I mean, like I mentioned before, when you're waiting 10 minutes for an item to come through, you no longer know if you're the highest buyer or the lowest seller. The price could easily have moved up or down a mil and you would never know. Your items wouldn't get filled, and if you left them overnight, the price might move against you 20 mil. In fact, I mean, the twisted bow crashed like, what, 200 mil today? So if you were trying to flip twisted bows overnight, you got screwed. Equally, on the other side of that, I mean, those of you who sold a twisted bow last night and then bought one back this morning just profited 200 mil. But I'm not interested in this volatility. I'm interested in the arbitrage aspect. So one of the arbitrary lines I've written in the sand is that if an item has 3,000 of it traded per day, that's good enough volume for me. That's roughly 100 per hour, which is much more than I need to profit. So, this list of items here is the list that I use exclusively for all of my flipping. Obviously at the top we have the twisted bow, don't worry about that. Ghrazi rapier, sanguinesti staff. These are just, they often have big margins but low volume, not worth it. My favorite weapons are the dragonbane weapons. That's the dragon hunter crossbow and the dragon hunter lance. You know, they're trading for around 100 mil, so if you have 100 mil you can do this. And they often have 100k to 200k margins. If you do 8 of them in an hour, you know, it's 800k each, and it's very easy to do. Dragon claws, dragon warhammer, it's 50-60 mil. They have very high volume too. Armadyl, chestplate, and chain skirt, they also have very high volume, and they're high price, high margins. Again, this is sort of the Goldilocks zone of having a high price and therefore high margins, but not low volume. It's a very delicate line. I had to go through hundreds of items to check all of their volume and all of their prices to determine whether or not they were worth it, and these are the ones I came up with. So, continuing on. The Pegasians and Primordial Boots are great. They got a GE limit of 15 compared to the traditional 8 GE limit for these high value items, so you can squeeze out about twice as much GP per trading session. And then the Anguish, Tormented Brace, and the Torture, all the Zenite jewelry. The Tormented Brace actually has a 10,000 GE limit. I'm not sure how. I think I already mentioned that in this video. The Anguish has like 70, so that's really high too. The Torture only has 8, but those are all great. The items that are worth less than this, I just tend to don't really touch too much. If you're really desperate and you want money, you don't know what to do, you could try practicing with these items, but I would stick to the main list above. If you're trying to squeeze out a 10 mil an hour video, then I might dip into some of these, but generally speaking, I won't touch them. So the hour is pretty much completed. We got 1 minute left, but these declaws won't end up selling. Had they sold, we would have made it past the 10 mil mark, because we were getting a 600k margin on those, which is just nuts. Had we stopped at the 30-minute mark and extrapolated a GP per hour figure, we would have ended up with about 14 mil an hour. The margins just ended up drying up a bit. That's just sort of the nature of flipping. You never know what's going to happen. But I mean, I'm happy with 9 mil an hour. As you can see, we've used all the items that we have on the list. And this picture is from the day before where we actually did manage to get 10 mil in an hour. Sometimes the margins just got to be there. So for those of you who made it to the end, you're definitely interested in this stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about everything that I talked about in this video. Or, you know, you can message me in game. I love to talk and strategize about this stuff. Also, if you want to see more of this flipping content on this channel, drop a like to let me know. And subscribe if you want to see more content. With all that said, this is UIM Loki, and as always, peace out. I love you. Take care. Stay safe out there. Goodbye.